What's up guys, Aaron Bennett here. In this video, going over the latest Celsius updates, including an order for a settlement between Earn and Borrow. So I'm going to touch on this document that came through the docket about 2 days ago, and really what they're going to talk about on August 10th. So we do have some time. This will affect the class claim, whether or not you want to opt out of this claim. I'll explain that as well. Also, if you have a loan, this can affect what you end up doing with that as well. I'm going to go through some tweets that kind of break this stuff down a little bit better. Also going through Simon Dixon's video that he did about 2 days ago talking about this. Also taking a look at what other people in the space have been saying about opting out of this claim and what will I be doing also. But really quick, before I dive into that, if you want a non-KYC exchange, BitGet is one that I have been using for a little while. There are very, very few non-KYC exchanges left. BitGet is holding on to that, so I don't recommend obviously keeping money at an exchange. I think that's a really dumb idea. But if you want a way to trade and right now without them tracking your identity, I will leave my affiliate link below for BitGet. They are giving away some money if you do fund your account and trade as well. So let me go through this document that came into the docket a few days ago. So all of this will be talked about on August 10th before the judge. So I'm going to talk about the retail borrower claims a little bit later. These people will get priority for selecting equity. I'll cover that in just a moment. So basically the issue is that there are over 30,000 claims totaling over $78.2 billion that have been filed against Celsius. So this really started back when they opened the bar date up where anybody could submit a non-contract claim. Not going into that whole detail, I spent the beginning of this year going over that. But essentially, people were saying, hey, Celsius, you defrauded me, you misled me, you lied to me, and therefore I'm going to claim that you owe me more than I actually had in my Celsius account. So that's why there is this insane $78.2 billion of claims. And again, these are seeking damages for fraud, misrepresentation, and things like that. So this settlement, which again will be shown before the judge on August 10th, if this settlement is approved, it will provide each account holder, so yourself, that does not opt out of the settlement, a 5% increase in their account holder claims. Now, I'll cover that more a little bit later in the video. And by not opting out of this claim, you basically won't be able to go after Celsius for any of these things like fraud, mismanagement, and things like that. So there will be some people that will want to opt out, but I think most of us won't, and I'll cover that in this video as well. I will, as of now, not opt out of this settlement because I am not looking to take anything further to court. I don't want any delays in me getting back my crypto, all things that can happen if people decide to opt out. Again, I know I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me just cover this. It'll all make sense at the end of this video. So what this settlement is trying to do is, again, resolve more than $70 billion of these non-contract claims, things like fraud and mismanagement. They say that the resolution process, so resolving all of these claims, would significantly harm creditors through delayed distributions and ultimately lower distributions. In addition, any account holder, so someone like yourself, seeking to prove a non-contract claim will have to demonstrate that they have valid damages above and beyond the loss of the crypto in their Celsius account. So what they are trying to do here in this document is dissuade people from opting out of this settlement. Basically, if you opt out, you'll have to fight using your own money. It could take longer to get your crypto out. Unless you have a huge claim or you have a really, really strong case and you want to hire your own legal team to go after them for something like fraud, mismanagement, misconduct, something like that, then you would want to opt out. So I hope that makes sense. And again, I'll cover this a little bit more as this video continues. They say that opting out of this settlement could delay distributions and may not ultimately lead to any change in your recovery. So the settlement that the UCC and Celsius are trying to get through, which again will be talked about on August 10th, will also significantly streamline this claims reconciliation process and allow Celsius to promptly commence distributions. So what they're saying is that by going along with the settlement, you will get your money quicker. But if you want to opt out of the settlement, you can retain your right to pursue your individual proofs of claims against Celsius. So again, if you want to opt out, you can go after them legally. But most people are not going to do that, don't want to do that, don't care to do that. and it'll cost you money that you need to spend on your own lawyers, and it really is something that most people are not going to want to do. Any eligible account holder who does not opt out of the settlement will receive a claim in the amount of an extra 5%. So this does not mean that you're going to get 105% of your claim value. It basically means that your claim amount will be 5% higher, and that extra 5% could come from other creditors who decide to opt out of the settlement. It's a little confusing. It's actually very confusing. The default is going to be settling, is going to be approving of this settlement. And again, once we get the actual form to decide all these things, I will definitely make a video. Subscribe if you haven't already, because I will be covering all this. And this is why I think most people are just going to accept this settlement, because it says any account holder will not receive a distribution from the debtors, meaning Celsius, until their applicable proofs of claim are fully and finally resolved by the bankruptcy court, which likely will be months, perhaps years, after the effective date of the plan confirmation, and they will have to litigate and prove that their claims against the debtors are true. So again, most people are just not going to opt out because, I don't know, people don't really care. People just want to get, they want to get their equity, they want to get their liquid crypto distribution, they don't want to fight this in court. It's just not worth it. Now, unless you have a really, really specific claim or a really specific issue, and your claim is large enough, and you're already in talks with a lawyer right now, then yeah, you may decide to opt out because you are already planning some legal attack on the debtors, on Mashinsky, on the insiders, right? You're already planning something. But if you aren't planning something, not legal advice, but for myself, I am not going to be opting out. So let me just summarize this one last time, basically what this means. All account holders, meaning yourself, will have the opportunity to opt out of this settlement. And I'll get to loans in just a moment, but I just want to make this clear. Those account holders who elect to opt out of the settlement will not receive the settlement claim, which I believe is that extra 5% potentially added to your claim, and will hold a disputed claim. They also will not receive a distribution under the plan until such a disputed claim is resolved, which again could take a very long time, they're saying. And upon the filing of an objection to their claim, the applicable account holder, like yourself, will be required to establish the validity of the claim against the debtors. So basically, they are really trying to, again, dissuade people from opting out of the settlement. They want this, like $700 billion worth of non-contract claims. They want these to go away, because what they're saying is it's going to cost the estate. The estate is synonymous for the amount of money that will be repaid to us. It's going to cost the estate a lot of money. It's also going to take longer to get out of Chapter 11. So again, unless you have some very special situation that you already know you're going to opt out because you know you're going to sue these guys and you want to take them to court after the plan's confirmed, if that's you, I totally support that decision. But for most of us, we are going to go along with the masses, not because we're sheep, but because we want to get out of this process as quickly as possible. And in Simon's video, he does talk about that as well. So if you have a custody claim, this does not apply to you. You're still going to get your money back. You don't have to do anything if you held custody coins. So now I want to talk a little bit about the loan process. If you had a loan. Now, this is pretty darn confusing, so what I want to do is just kind of dive over to Twitter. I first want to go over what Tony said here, and all of this will be laid out in an updated disclosure statement, which I will cover. It should come out pretty soon, but basically, there's going to be an option, if you have a loan, to do this set-off distribution. So the set-off plan is basically you take your claim amount, which would be your collateral. So let's say you put $60,000 of Bitcoin as collateral, and then you got a $20,000 loan. Basically, you would need to pay off your $20,000 loan, and then you will get your collateral as an earned claim. Now, the benefit and part of this settlement that just went through is that if you have a loan and if you want to get your crypto out, meaning you just want 100% crypto, what Tony's saying is you will be able to get 63.3% back, which is pretty darn good. You're not going to get 100% of your collateral back, but everybody lost in this situation, and that's just the way it is, unfortunately. You can get 34% crypto and around 36% equity of your claim amount if you had a loan, Or if you just want equity, you can get around 85% equity. So there is a benefit if you want to basically toggle your entire claim into equity. You are going to get a premium here. Now, there are people that had a loan that are really not happy about this because they thought that when they would pay off their loan, they would get 100% of their collateral back. That's not what's going to happen. Basically, you pay off your loan and you're going to get 63% approximately. This can change based on the price of Bitcoin, but right now around 63% of your crypto back. But ultimately, Chapter 11, everybody's upset. Nobody likes it, but basically we just need to get out of Chapter 11 as quickly as possible. And I'm only making this video because somebody asked me to do a TLDR. No, I'm just kidding. I actually don't want Applebee's gift cards. I would rather have Texas Roadhouse. So if you want to send me some Texas Roadhouse gift cards, I love their steaks and I would appreciate it there. The whole Applebee's thing is some joke that started on Twitter, and it was mentioned in the Twitter Spaces with Fahrenheit. And the joke definitely went over people's heads because you literally had to be on Twitter to understand the joke. So that's where this comes from. I don't like Applebee's. Again, give me some steak. Give me some Texas Roadhouse. So this is what Crypto YOLO said on Twitter regarding all of this. Opting in, meaning not opting out. So that's very important. So opting in means not checking a box that says I want to opt out. Again, when we're able to opt in, or I should say when we're able to opt out, I will let you know exactly what the form looks like and make sure you understand exactly how that works. So opting into the class settlement increases your claim by 5%. However, he says recovery does not increase by 5%. This increased recovery will be small as no additional assets are available, but you'll get some from those who opt out. So very, very confusing. Honestly, this will all make more sense when the updated disclosure statement comes out. Again, this entire settlement needs to be approved by the judge, and that'll happen on August 10th. So we have like 20 days or so before anything will actually happen regarding this. And then once it's approved, then we'll probably get, again, an updated disclosure statement that'll go over this in greater detail. So before I dive into the recap of Simon's video he made on this about 2 days ago, if you do plan on opting out of this settlement, you do need to have a claim form on file, I believe, by August 2nd. So those who have not submitted a claim, but you are pretty certain you're going to opt out of this class claim, which is a pretty small amount of people who are in that camp, you do need to have something on file by August 2nd. But again, myself, I will not be opting out of this settlement. I will be approving this settlement, which again will be the default option. So don't worry about it if you're confused. This has been very confusing for me. It's confusing for a lot of people. And I will let you know once things become finalized and what you need to do. So just to recap Simon's video, you're going to get this 5% opt-in bonus on your claim amount, which does not mean that you're going to necessarily get 5% more, but it allows you to get 5% more. A little bit confusing there. Custody, again, is excluded from this. So if you already withdrew some of your custody assets or you did not withdraw your custody assets, you're fine. That has not changed. You're still going to get, I believe, 72.5% of your custody amount. Now, if you have sell token by settling or opting into the settlement, you are accepting this 20-cent sell. So if you opt out of this claim, that's the only way that you can fight for an 81-cent sell. There is an entire group of people trying to do that. They have their own Telegram group. I'm not in that group, but if that applies to you, most likely you already are in that group, and they probably have some game plan to go after that. But that is what you need to know about this settlement. And Simon here mentions that this is what we don't want, and this is what this settlement will reduce, is the likelihood of these massive clawbacks, or basically withholding crypto until things get settled. So with Voyager, they held back $446 million. So people in Voyager got back anywhere between like 20 and 35% of their crypto. And the reason they only got back that little is because they have to figure out this whole lawsuit with FTX, which could take years before they get that money back potentially. So this settlement from the UCC is just trying to avoid this situation where we have to take years and give lawyers more money to figure out all of these claims and just spend a lot of money trying to do this. The UCC is like, we want to streamline this process, get out of Chapter 11 super quickly so we don't have to hold back money. So regarding loans, I already kind of touched on this, but once this gets approved by the judge and we get an updated disclosure statement, I will cover this more. Basically, the set-off treatment, you will just subtract your loan amount from your collateral claim. So that would be what your actual claim is. And then the excess will be treated as an earn with a priority. Now, this is part of the settlement. Essentially, you will be able to get 130% equity or 70% of your crypto. And that is what I mentioned here, basically 63% or so crypto, or if you want full equity, around 85%. Basically, those that had a loan will get priority if they want to toggle into more equity or more crypto. I believe they just get the priority over people that had an earn claim. Really not a big deal in the long run. This was part of the settlement that they did, and I'm glad they came to an agreement because this all could have meant more months in court and a lot more money spent. So Simon had a slide here talking about earn. This is unchanged from before. So if you have an earn claim, you will get the liquid Bitcoin and ETH distribution. You'll get the proceeds from the litigation trust, which will go after Mashinsky and other insiders, possibly even retail clawbacks, but that may not happen as effectively as some people would like, which is good. If you want to join the retail clawback group, I'm going to make a whole video on retail clawback soon, but I'll include the link to that below in the description. And also, Earn is still going to get that 100% equity in the new company. But there is still a concern that Simon has that we are going to get rug pulled if Bitcoin breaches $55,000, because our claim is capped at 100%. They did even talk about this in the document here that I went over. The claim is capped at 100%, meaning that if Bitcoin rips to $100,000, we're not going to get that benefit necessarily. We are going to be capped. And then the proceeds, unfortunately, as of now, would go to the FTC. They would go to maybe other equity holders. So we're hoping that that does not happen. So part of the settlement, again, all the companies will be consolidated. That fancy word called substantive consolidation. Basically, all the entities will be treated as one. So Simon's goal, which I think it should be everyone's goal, is to exit in 2023, meaning we do not want this to go to 2024. Get good governance, meaning people that have our interest at stake on the board of directors. Very, very important. Also, Fahrenheit talked about going public this year, getting on NASDAQ. I covered that in my last video where I went over their Twitter spaces. And if they can get on NASDAQ this year, that would be amazing. And also, the fourth goal that Simon has is better backup fees. So if Fahrenheit does not go through, we will have an ability to wind down without paying exorbitant fees to companies. This is the timeline to exit. I've went over this a few times, but hopefully we will get this plan confirmed by end of September or October. That would be ideal. But there are some concerns and things that could delay this process. Simon does go over the Cell ad hoc could keep fighting, which is their right to do, I guess, but that could be a delay. He also says and reminds people that a no to this plan does not mean that we go right to the wind down. It could mean that we go back to the drawing board and start this freaking auction all over again, which would not be a good idea right now. Another delay, he says, could be a competitive wind down. This would be a good delay, basically, if there are other companies that want to fight to give us a wind down option like the brick option, but just with lower fees. That would be a delay that I would be okay with because, yeah, it may take another month, but we are going to be getting a lot more money. And before I end this video, I just want to mention these two companies. We have Claims Market and also Xclaim. This is not a paid endorsement. They did not ask me to mention them, but it is important for you guys to know there are options if you need to get the heck out of this process. You need the money now, and you are not willing or are just mentally unable to withstand this any longer. You may have a personal reason that you want to sell your claim. Xclaim, Claims Market, you can go ahead and find them on Twitter. I will include their links below. You can reach out to both and see what they can both offer you. It says right now Celsius is going for around 32.5% on Xclaim. Claims market is going to be approximately the same, 31 to 35% or so, maybe lower, maybe higher, I don't know. But I just wanted to let you guys know that that is still an option if you would like to get out of Chapter 11. And maybe you want to take that capital and put it towards something else. Maybe you just want to take that capital and buy Bitcoin and not rely on the bankruptcy process to give you that money back, and just invest immediately in your own self-custody wallet. Maybe that's what you want to do. It's up to you. Or maybe you need it to pay your bills or pay your mortgage. So anyway, guys, that is it for the video. Thanks for watching. I will include the links to those below as well. I'll also include the link to BitGet, which is, again, that non-KYC exchange, if you want to play around with that option as well. Don't suggest leaving money on an exchange, but sometimes you want to be a little anonymous when you trade, and that is your prerogative. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Till next time, talk with you soon, and bye for now.